Hello, and thank you for joining us. Millions of Irish immigrated to the United States more than a century ago, bringing with them long-held traditions to help them remember what they'd left behind, including the celebration of St. Patrick's Day, which is typically a feast day and a holy day of obligation for Roman Catholics, before it became, of course, a beer-soaked bar crawl here in the U.S. But the Irish have deep roots in Charleston. They've served as mayors, signed the Declaration of Independence, built the U.S. Custom House, and served on the police force. The Irish in Charleston have a lot to celebrate indeed. Today, we're happy to be joined by two Irish immigrants who call the Low Country home. We want to welcome Darragh Doran and Brian Murray. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's start with you, Brian. So where in Ireland are you from?
I'm from Galway on the west coast of Ireland.
On the west coast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and where are you from, Doran?
I'm from Dublin, the capital.
You are, okay. And what made you decide to move to the U.S.?
For me, it was a big part of it was opportunity, a change, and the climate.
And the
climate was a big part of it for me, absolutely, yes.
Do you miss the climate in Ireland?
Ironically, I do. When it's August here and we've had 3 months of the heat, and you go back to Ireland and that cold wind hits you, it's refreshing.
Yeah, that is true,
Yep.
isn't it? And so you both came about 20 years ago, really.
Correct.
So you came in 1999, is that right?
2000
2000, and 99
I came
for
in
you?
99, yeah.
And did you first settle here in the Low Country, or did you move elsewhere in the United States before you came here?
When I moved from Ireland, I went to New York first, and I spent a little strong on 15 years in New York before making the move down here to Charleston.
And how about for you, Doran?
I came on what's called a J1 visa, which is very common in Ireland for college students.
Yes.
Come over here for 3 months. So I came here for 3 months in 99 to Charleston, went home and graduated, missed it and came back, and that was 19 years ago.
Now, were you surprised to learn at how many Irish had moved to Charleston and how far back our history goes with the Irish culture here?
Well, when I moved here back in 99, there was about 10 of us here, I think. So there wasn't many Irish citizens living here at the time,
Right.
but we've since grown in numbers to the current day. But yeah, it's amazing, like St. Patrick's Church downtown, if you walk through the cemetery there, you see all the headstones from the Murphys and Rileys from County Kerry and Cork back from the 1800s, so that's impressive to see.
That's right, and I believe that they first came here by ship from Barbados. Those are some of the first Irish immigrants here. There's a South Carolina Irish Memorial right at the end of Charlotte Street, so they're definitely recognized as being some of the founders of Charleston. So now you're carrying the torch, and so what do you do here in Charleston, Brian?
I have a business here in Charleston. It's Caring Transitions, and we specialise with helping seniors to downsize, relocate, and I'm also an auctioneer that we can help them with estate sales and liquidating their personal property.
Oh, fantastic. And how about for you?
I moved here to work for Bosch as an engineer, and I spent 10 years at Bosch, but for the last 10 years I've been in the real estate business.
Yes, flipping houses and
Flipping
so forth?
houses and working as a realtor, yeah.
And you also founded a group here, an organization.
Yeah, so about 10 years ago, Facebook was just coming out, so I started a Facebook group just to keep the small number of us here in touch. And in the last 10 years, it's grown from those original 10 or 15. Now we've got 1,300 on it,
Yeah.
of which about 100 of us are Irish-born who currently live here.
Now, does your family also come here to visit? Do any of your family live here, or are they all back in Ireland at this point?
I'm married here with children, 5-year-old twins, and aside that, the rest of my family are in Ireland. Yes, they do come to visit. They love to visit Charleston here, and so we see each other quite a bit.
Yeah, and your wife now, is she from Ireland
She's
as
from
well?
Ireland also, yes.
She is?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
and how
yes.
about for you, Doran?
My family, I have one brother in New York, the rest are back in Ireland, and they haven't been to visit in a while, but hoping to get them back here this year.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I want to hear more about what it was like growing up in Ireland, but we do need to take a break. So when we come back, Darragh and Brian, they're going to share what St. Paddy's Day celebrations are like back in Ireland as well. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We've been speaking with Darragh Doran and Brian Murray, two Irish immigrants who made the trip across the pond nearly 2 decades ago. They've been sharing their stories and giving us a little insight on what it's like back in Ireland. I want to learn more about what it was like growing up in Ireland. So you are from the West Coast.
Correct, yes.
So tell me a little bit about your childhood.
Coming from Galway, which pretty much to me growing up was a town at the time, has turned into a pretty renowned city,
Yeah.
steeped in culture. And It was very basic. Growing up in Galway in the 70s and 80s, we didn't have much. It was basic. We had great community. That's one thing I do miss from Ireland, is those close-knit communities. And but it was a lot of fun.
One of my favorite movies out of Ireland is The Commitments, and that life, I mean, it looks very hard, though. I mean, you have to work for everything that you have, but it's true, family and friends are very, very tight there.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, The Commitments, that's 25 years old at this stage, and it's a very gritty movie, and it is true, but the Ireland that we grew up in is totally different than Ireland today. Ireland's a very dynamic and progressive and successful country now. Just this morning it was announced we had the fastest growing GDP in Europe for the 4th year in a row.
Wow.
So Ireland's a success story these days. It's a very Dublin's very cosmopolitan. We've a lot of immigration. You know, Ireland has changed from a country that sent people away to find work, then now we're so successful, people are coming to Ireland to get work.
A lot of companies have actually moved their bases to Ireland, if I'm not mistaken.
They certainly have. A lot of American companies like Google, Facebook, Twitter, PayPal, eBay, Pfizer, a lot of those companies, they come there because we've got an English-speaking country, we're well educated, education's free in Ireland all the way through college, and we have a very low corporate tax rate, 12.5%, so all of those are very good incentives for companies to come to Ireland.
That's really interesting, and Ireland is also multilingual, and you were telling me that you didn't learn English until college?
Well, no, we spoke English at home, but I went through the education system through Irish or Gaelic. So my first class in English was in college.
Can you speak a little for us?
I certainly can. Bawalum Bannatin Felapodic Gawalor of Gilair.
Oh my goodness.
I'd like to wish you all a blessed and happy St. Patrick's Day.
That's lovely. And you also speak Irish, is that right?
Cúpla focal.
Does that mean?
A few words.
A few words.
Sure.
And do you still speak it with your family, or is it something that is kind of subsiding a little bit?
Yeah, it's definitely subsiding. I don't personally practice it with my family anymore. When I do visit back to Ireland, certain conversations and certain groups you'll be part of, yes. But
and it all comes back. Yeah. And how would you say, I would like a pint, please?
Bawalum Piunta the whole.
Oh, don't ask me to repeat that. It's a tough language. It's such an interesting language. Now, how did you celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Ireland as opposed to how you celebrate here?
So yeah, St. Patrick's Day in Ireland is a national holiday. It's also a religious holiday. People would typically go to church in the morning time, and then every town, every village had their own particular parade, and the parades were very much orientated towards floats, similar to what we might see in New York for the Macy's Day.
Yes.
So as opposed to where we see a lot of marching bands here and organisations, it was much more float orientated and that concept back in Ireland. Yes.
Right, and religious based.
Yes.
Yes, and so when you celebrate St. Patrick's Day here, do you just look at the rest of us Americans and think, oh my goodness?
No, I mean, we can't
Rowdy
complain.
scoundrels.
There's not another country in the world that has this national holiday celebrated like we do. You know, the Ravenel Bridge here is turned green, so are the pyramids in Egypt, so is Christ the Redeemer in Rio, so we can't complain with that. There are certainly some differences. We don't really drink green beer over there even on St. Patrick's Day. Corned beef and cabbage is really not an Irish thing. The four-leaf clover, that's not a thing either. The shamrock is the symbol.
That's the three-leaf clover. Well,
yeah,
I mean, it's...
and the basis behind that is St. Patrick, he brought Christianity to Ireland and he used the 3 leaves of the shamrock to teach about the Holy Trinity.
That's right.
So that's why the shamrock is so important.
That's right. And
But
the
it's
Holy
all good
Trinity,
to
for anyone
celebrate.
who doesn't know. The Holy Trinity, if anyone doesn't know.
Yes.
Father, Son and Holy Ghost.
The Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Brian, you'll be in trouble with the priest this weekend.
I don't... Someone's going to have to go to confession.
Yes.
With your organization, so you have events all the time. So how do people find out more information if they want to start revisiting their Irish roots and meeting new Irish people?
Sure. CharlestonIrish.com. That's our website. And if you go on Facebook, type in Charleston Irish, you'll find us.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to have that information on our website, foxcharleston.com. Darragh and Brian, thank you so much for joining us, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
a lot.
And how do you say
much for
happy
having us.
St. Patrick's Day in Irish?
Bannatil la Ila Podagov.
You heard it from him. All right. Come